Reddit. What was your best I could never do that again if I tried it a million times moment? I was taping some tracing wire to a natural gas line we were installing. When I pulled the wire tight, it snapped against the pipe, and I ended up hitting a wasp that was on the pipe, perfectly beheading it. Beheading. I ran out of gas while driving full speed once, and managed to coast over a mile and come to a stop right at a gas pump. I had a lot on my mind. I was going through a divorce, and simply didn't think about filling the gas tank. I didn't even notice I was out of gas until I felt that the acceleration was no longer working. I turned down my music just in time to hear the engine sputter out. I quickly popped my car into neutral, turned on the hazard lights, and began coasting as long as I could. By the time I reached the gas station I was going about 4 miles per hour, and had just enough momentum to make it up the embankment and to the pump. I didn't even brake until my gas cap was adjacent to the nozzle. Freshman year of high school I was talking to a friend walking in the hallway chewing gum. Gum flew out of my mouth accidentally. I panicked and kicked my foot hacky sack style, and kicked the gum right back into my mouth. My friend said it was gross to keep chewing the foot gum, but I said it was an act of God. God wanted me to have long-lasting flavor. Denise. I was playing kickball in my neighborhood street with a bunch of friends and a few cute girls around. I was always pretty good, so people always backed up when I was kicking. I got pitched the ball, and when I kicked it, it soared into the air, up the street, and straight into my friend's basketball hoop. It was a good 35 yards away. The sound it made was the best swish I've ever heard. To this day I have never made that shot again. I was sitting in a bar one time next to a pool table. The guy knocked the cue ball off, knocked the beer out of my hand, but I caught the ball. All was good. The guy bought me another round. I was playing mini golf and we got to a hole that was in the corner of the course. The hole was an L shape and you had to get the ball in one of 2 pipes, and the pipes were at right angles following the L shape. The pipes would let the ball out and you would try to get in from where the ball exited the pipe. It was impossible to get a hole in one because the pipes wouldn't let the ball out near the hole, and there was a block between the entrance of the pipes and the exit of the pipes. So I go and I end up hitting the ball in the air and it bounces off this tree that was in the corner of the court and it bounced over the pipes and I got a hole in one. I'm probably the only one to ever get a hole in one in that hole. I was playing beer pong with some friends at the shore. The ball got a dent in it, so I, thinking I'm hot crap, try the old lighter trick to pop the dent out. Well, as it turns out, if you get the lighter too close the ball catches on fire rather quick. So instead of dropping the ball or blowing it out, I tossed the ball and sank the final cup with a flaming ball of glory. It may not be a 1 in a million shot, but it sure felt like one. I was shooting at 2-liter bottles in New Hampshire with a BB gun with little success. I decided I'd gangster things up a bit and turned the gun to the side and fired. I hit the bottle at just the right spot so that the BB bounced back and hit me in the forehead. Also one time my cousin threw a boomerang and it came back and hit him in the forehead. We have big foreheads. I was playing baseball when I was around 10. I think I was playing first base and I wasn't paying attention, and all of a sudden, a ball landed in my glove without me realizing. The pitcher threw it and the batter hit a line drive straight to me. I will never be able to do that again. I was miles away from home. I crossed the road behind a bus when a car came down the other side of the road and nearly knocked me over. I was okay. The car was braking. I hadn't looked where I was walking and just popped out behind the bus, so I expected the owner of the car to yell at me. I looked up and lo and behold it was my dad, driving home from some shop. It must have been 1,000,000 to 1 odds that it was him, as I live in quite a large city. P.S. I learned my lesson about crossing behind buses. I flipped a coin in my garage and it got stuck in the rafters. I walked away disappointed. 5 days later, I was walking to my car and it fell down into the shoe I was wearing. I had my phone connected to its charging cord once. I was holding it and accidentally dropped it. The cord caught on the corner of my end table, making the phone do an Indiana Jones style vine swing on the cord. Then when it reached the apex of its swing, it detached from the cord, spun in the air, and landed upright in the seat of my chair, facing me. I actually thought it was sentient for a second. I'm very glad this will never happen again. I was walking into the pool room of a pub to join my friends sitting in the corner. As I opened the door, time slowed down. I noticed in exquisite detail just how the person taking their shot mucked it up, sending the ball flying. I saw the perfect parabola of the cue ball in the air, tracing the curve of its majestic flight, right into my nuts. That was beautiful, man. I was waitressing and one evening when carrying out food, I tripped and fell. One plate just dropped all over the floor, smashing into a million pieces of food and china. The other plate slid across the floor and came to a stop right next to the foot of the customer who had ordered that meal. In middle school my friends and I were joking around. I forget what exactly about, but for some reason I had said something about hiding a body in a locker and turned to the nearest locker, the kind with the combination lock built in, and playfully tried to open it up as part of the joke. I randomly twisted the lock and pulled the handle and the dang thing just opened, and inside was a black garbage bag with something big inside. I was completely floored by my dumb luck. They thought I planned it. I was acting in a play and whipped my head to the right to react to what another character was saying. This was something I did every night in rehearsals, but for some reason on opening night, my glasses shot right off my face. They just went flying. I have no idea how, but I immediately caught them with my already outstretched right hand. The audience ate it up. They applauded, like this was a tricky maneuver I had practiced every night, but it was literally something I could never do again. 2 minutes later, I whipped my head to the left to react to another character, and the glasses went airborne again, smacking the actress in the face and falling behind a prop so that they could not be easily recovered. I want you to know that because of this I picked up a pair of cheap aviator knockoffs, bent the frames to fit loose and have spent the last 15 minutes perfecting this maneuver. I believe I was 13 years old at the time, so this was approximately 10 years ago. I was fishing off the dock of my parents' beach house. I went to cast and released the fishing line into the air. A seagull was flying by at the exact time and the hook got attached to the bird. I caught a motherfucking seagull with my fishing rod. I tried to reel the seagull in to remove the hook from its mouth, but the bird was having none of that. It was kinda like flying a kite, until I decided to cut the fishing line. Years ago I was ice skating when I saw a group of my school friends. They were obviously there for the first time and kind of shuffle sliding out to the center of the rink in a group of 4 without taking their feet off the ice. I was still new at this too and not very good, but I skated over to say hello. As I came up in front of them I realized I was going too fast and tried to slow down, and overbalanced. I fell forward with my hand out. The heel of my hand landed on the ice and I did a perfect circle about 8 foot wide around it with my skates opposed to each other before I managed to remove my hand and stand upright again. Show off, one of my friends grumbled. I was playing dodgeball, and you know how there's always that group of girls who just stays at the back and talks cause they don't want to get hit. Well, on the other team there was this blob of like 6 girls and I threw a dodgeball and it bounced between 2 of them, only for a third to try and catch it and instead knock it into the air, hitting yet another one. Frickin' quadra kill. The first time I ever played 2048 I won. I thought that was incredibly easy and didn't play a game for a while. Since then it has become increasingly popular, and I realized that what I had done was actually quite a feat. I've since played countless times and am convinced that given a million tries I will never win again. I was walking into the men's room whilst chewing gum and realized I didn't want the gum anymore. I spat the gum out and kicked it midair into a tiny ass bin at least 10 meters away. It made me feel like Zlatan. This is my single greatest achievement in life. When I was just a young lad I was eating a meatball when my friend said something funny. A chunk of meatball about the size of a small marble was thrust from my nose like a cannon. My friend's dog caught the meaty marble midair and ate it. I peeked early. Sounds more like the dog's achievement than yours. Sorry. When I was in high school, I was talking to a friend in the gym after school while chewing gum. She turned her head while I was talking, and just as she did, I accidentally spit my gum directly at her temple. I snapped my hand out in front of me, caught the gum, and put it back in my mouth, just as she turned back to me. Didn't notice at all. I silently applauded my sudden onset spidey reflexes, and went on with the convo. I kicked a volleyball into a trash can about 100 feet away. There were witnesses. Casually dropped 2 coins on a table. when the one coin started spinning on top of the other, slowing down to a halt, still standing sideways. I've tried to do it again, but it is absolutely impossible. 4 AM. I'm hungry, so I go to Dunkin' Donuts. I grab whatever money I have in the car. Turns out to be $4.63. So I go, make my usual order completely oblivious that I have no money. The register shows my total, $4.63 frickin' cents. I just emptied my hand to the dude at the counter. He knows what just happened and gives me a nod of approval. I drive away with my donuts and wraps like a South African boss. I was carrying 2 punnets of raspberries to the counter in the supermarket when the top one slid off and fell. It rotated 360 degrees and I dropped to my knees and caught it on the top of the remaining punnet. I got a house under contract to buy it at $42K. On the drive back to my office I stopped to let a farmer know that one of his cows was out of the fence by the highway. He thanked me and saw my shirt that said I buy houses. He asked me if I had any houses for sale. I said yes. It was the one I had just gotten under contract. Sold it to him for $60K. I made $15K in about 3 hours of work. 2 things for me. First, I was driving on the highway after a very bad winter storm. Lots of ice. My car started doing the wiggle. Next thing I know I am spinning. I screamed out of reflex and saw the guy driving in the car next to me with his shocked face. I landed perfectly straight and kept going. I'll never forget the dude's face and never forget the pair of pants I lost that day. Second, playing World Series baseball on Sega Genesis. I'm thinking 1994-1995. My cousin was kicking my butt. He had the bases loaded and was down by 1 point. 0 outs. Hits a line drive and I made my shortstop dive for it. But instead of diving forward he did this dive where his body was facing the wrong direction, so he sort of dove backwards towards the ball, then proceeded to get a triple play. I ended up winning. We watched the replay of my triple play for like 30 minutes. It was so unbelievable. Finally, my brother. We went to a house party and got hammered. We were playing quarters, the game where you bounce quarters off a table into a shot glass. I don't even remember the rules. I just remember doing that. Looking around the table there was a dude with a paper bag on his head and another dude with a lampshade on. Everyone was hammered. My brother says if I land this, you all have to chug hard liquor. If I lose I'll do it, and proceeds to fill glasses with hard liquor. He puts down 2 shot glasses and everyone is thinking no way he'll land 2. He then tilts his head back and puts the quarters over his eyes, slams his head forward and lands both quarters in both shot glasses. Table erupts. Chairs are thrown backwards and broken. Eruption of screaming. I ended up blacking out thanks to the large amounts of beefeater I drank that night. Was playing football, soccer, in a park with about 6-7 friends when a family walked by and the eldest daughter, who must have been at least 20, shouted that if that freaking ball comes near me, I will pop it. I considered this to be completely rude and uncalled for as we were just playing a nice game in the middle of a park. As the family walked away I could see her walking like she was some freaking awesome bee for telling off a group of kids, so I thought to myself, I'll teach that bee. So I took the ball in my hands and kicked it towards her, assuming, because I'm not at all athletic or skilled at sports, that it would go nowhere near her. But by some divine intervention it conked her straight on the head from 50 yards away. The rest of the family laughed really hard at her, so she was too embarrassed to steal the ball and pop it, and her dad threw it back to us. Back when I was new to Street Fighter, my friend invited me to a tourney. The thing is, I didn't know how to play. I won by mashing buttons. $200. I can never do that again even if I try. A lot of times people who are very serious try to counter other strategies with fire own. You don't have one, it throws off their game. In a game where every combo has a counter, someone just flailing around can't be predicted. I guessed an activation code for a Flight Simulator 98 game I stole. No joke. As kids, me and a friend did this for Warcraft or something. We had a used key code and changed some of the characters by 1. 7 is greater than 8. E. F. When it worked we thought we had cracked the code for life and tried it on a bunch of other games. Never worked again. One of the first times I played Zombies Call of Duty Online I made it to level 40. I tried and tried many times later and never made past 30. I don't even want to think about level 40 in zombies. Once you get to about 22 it's just point forward and hold the trigger until the round ends. I swatted a bee with my hand and somehow removed its head. I am the king of the north. As a side note, the body kept moving for like another 15 minutes. That twitch made me nervous. I live next to a golf course, so when golf balls fly into our yard, I hit them back. One day I had 2 balls fly in, so I took my 7-iron and instead of flying over back to the golf course, I smacked it right into a telephone pole and the ball came flying back at me. I had to swat it away with my left hand. I kinda chuckled and hit the second ball and same exact thing happened. Not me, but I was in a musical a few years ago and one of the characters had to drop some coins. All goes well for the first few nights, then one night he drops them and one rolls down the stairs and halfway down the theater to the audience, whereupon it stops at the feet of a 3-ish-year-old girl who at this point realizes that she is the chosen one and has magic powers and screams loudly and excitedly for quite some time. Yay. I played hockey when I was younger and I was terrible. I was a 4th line forward who maybe scored 1 garbage goal a season. I was skating out of my zone and I shot the puck from center ice to go on a line change and I ended up sniping it top right side. I didn't even see the puck go in because immediately after I shot it I was skating to the bench to complete the change. I was sitting at a park with friends when a group of kids pulled up, got out, and started throwing water balloons at us. Somehow, absolutely none of them popped. I grabbed one that landed beside me. As they were speeding off, I hurled it at them from about 30 yards away. It went directly through their sunroof, drenching the interior of the car. I was about 5 years old and was on a turtle kick. Told my mom I wanted a baby turtle. She told me to go find one. It was more of a go play outside kind of thing to keep me busy. Walked down through the woods into the creek. Came back 5 minutes later with a baby turtle about the size of a $50. Still remember the look of shock on my mom's face when I walked back in the house with it. I was probably 13 or so. I had my right elbow on my desk in school with a pencil between my fingers and I was half raising my hand. A friend of mine was digging around and decided to throw a pen at my pencil holding hand. The pen he threw knocked my pencil out of my fingers and stuck between them, essentially replacing the pencil with the pen. He was probably about 15 feet away or so. My mouth fired saliva out like water gun once. No idea why. I thought I was a Pokemon. At my ex-GF's new loft apartment, 2 stories with the main living area, kitchen, etc downstairs, and the bedroom upstairs with a half wall, I used to throw things off her upstairs wall at her cat, socks, primarily. One day I had a nickel in my pocket and I noticed an open, half-full Snapple bottle on the other side of the room, downstairs, about 15 feet away, and 10 feet below me. I asked if she bet me I couldn't make it in. She humored me and said sure, what's the bet? I said if I missed, I'll never throw anything downstairs again. And if I made it, she had to blow me and swallow. She hated it. Right then and there on the couch. Also hated doing anything on the couch. She accepted. I fully expected to miss, but I lined up, did a couple fake pumps, and threw it. 2 seconds later, you heard the perfect clink and kersplush. I ran around the apartment celebrating like I got the game-winning goal in OT in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, and she even paid up. This is Girl Pepe. She only appears once in every 50,000 memes, like in 3 seconds for good luck. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.